bet you didn't know this. By the time you turn 80, you could have lost up to half the muscle mass you had in your youth. And that doesn't just make walking harder. It's still something far more precious, your independence. Behind this silent struggle is a condition called sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss. Worldwide, over 50 million older adults are affected, and most don't even realize it. Even more alarming, every year around 300,000 seniors are hospitalized due to falls caused by weakened muscles. That number alone should make us all stop and think. Now here's the part that's truly eye-opening. While many people in their 60s begin to struggle with everyday things like getting out of a chair or climbing stairs, others at the exact same age still move with strength, flexibility, and even carry the same posture and energy they had in their 40s or 50s. Take Linda, for example. She's 74. Every morning she jogs 2 miles with her daughter. No miracle drugs, no rare genes. Yet compared to her peers, Linda outperforms them in strength tests, travels solo, hikes hills, and still practices yoga like someone half her age. Scientists call people like her super-agers, those who defy normal aging, staying strong, sharp, and independent well into their 90s. But here's the kicker. These folks aren't just lucky outliers. And more importantly, they're not doing anything complicated. They share one simple secret, a secret most older adults have never been told. In fact, a recent study published in the Journal of Physiology completely shattered the old myth that muscle loss is just a natural part of aging. The truth? If you build the right habits, you can maintain your strength, rebuild lost muscle, and live with the energy of someone decades younger. But here's the problem. 93% of older adults today don't know what these habits are. And you might be missing out on the chance to protect your muscles every single day. Luckily, experts from places like Mayo Clinic and Harvard have identified these exact habits. Habits that don't just slow down muscle loss, they can actually reverse it. Even if you're in your 70s or 80s and you might be getting the very first habit completely wrong. It's a simple everyday behavior, but it's quietly weakening your muscles day after day. So if you're in your 60s, 70s, or older, or if you have a loved one entering their golden years, give yourself just a few minutes. What you're about to learn could be life-changing. Hit like if you want this video to reach more people. And don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to keep discovering powerful tips for living stronger, freer, and healthier every day. Now, let's dive into the very first habit, the one that sets apart the strongest 80-year-olds from the rest, self-guided resistance training. But not in the way most seniors have been told. Let's be honest, once we hit 60, 70, most of us start to feel like losing strength is just part of the deal. Our hands don't grip like they used to, our knees creak on the stairs, and somewhere deep inside we think, well, I guess my body's just wearing out. But here's what almost no one says out loud. Your muscles don't just get weak because you're older, they get weak because we stop challenging them. At Tufts University, a global leader in aging research, scientists have discovered something remarkable. They call it the most powerful anti-aging medicine ever found. And no, it's not a pill. It's not some expensive supplement. It's resistance training. Simple movements that make your muscles work a little harder. But the key is doing them the right way. And I know what you might be thinking. I'm too old to lift weights now. But hold on. Those super-agers I mentioned earlier, the 70 and 80-year-olds who still hike, move, carry groceries, and live fully on their own, they're not lifting heavy weights. They don't need to. What they do is this. They train smart. They challenge their bodies just enough to keep their muscles from falling asleep. Some people start with nothing more than a soft resistance band, a water bottle, or even just their own body weight, but they stay consistent. They understand this simple truth. To keep muscle, you have to challenge it just a little every single week. There was a study from McMaster University in Canada that proved something remarkable. They found that when older adults trained with higher resistance for just 2 weeks, pushing themselves until they could no longer complete a movement with proper form, the results were better than 5 weeks of moderate training. Just 2 sessions a week around 30 minutes each was enough to make a real difference. Now I get it. You might be thinking, is that even safe for me? I've got weak joints, a sensitive back, and I've never been to a gym. That's a very real concern. But here's the inspiring part. Even folks who started with canes, who could barely stand without help, have followed this method safely when done slowly, gently, and with control. You don't need fancy machines, just a chair, a wall, a resistance band. One woman started by simply sitting and standing from a chair 5 times every morning. 2 weeks later, she could do 7. A month later, 10. Her body started to remember how to move again. And then the miracle happened. Her muscles woke up. At the University of Alabama, a group of seniors aged 65 to 85 were put on a light, manageable resistance program. 12 weeks later, they increased their strength by 35%. Some even gained nearly 3 pounds of lean muscle, something they thought was impossible at that age. And it didn't stop at muscle. Their memory improved. Their bones were stronger. Their blood sugar became more stable. You see, it's never too late. If you remember just one thing from this video, let it be this. Start resistance training, no matter how small. 2 times a week. A few simple movements, and listen to your body, not to become a bodybuilder, but so you can stand up without needing a helping hand, so you can climb stairs without gasping for air, so you can stay independent right into your 90s. Habit number 2. Replenish essential vitamins and minerals. It was a crisp spring morning when I stopped by to visit Mr. David, my old neighbor in Oregon. He's 72 now, a retired math teacher, kind, meticulous, and the last person you'd expect to worry about advanced nutrition. His daily routine was steady: balanced meals, light exercise, no smoking, barely touch coffee. And yet, over the past year, he'd been feeling worn down. His limbs felt weaker, his memory a little foggier. He chalked it up to aging. But his family doctor, Dr. Rebecca Lee, a geriatric specialist at Oregon Health and Science University, thought differently. After a full blood workup, she discovered Mr. David was missing several key micronutrients. According to her, this is actually very common in older adults, even when they're eating well. The first one she pointed to, magnesium, a mineral we've all heard of, but one that's quietly missing from many older bodies. A 2021 study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that over 70% of seniors have magnesium levels below the recommended range, even when their diets seem balanced. And magnesium does a lot. It's involved in over 300 biochemical processes, from muscle contraction to nerve function to better sleep. Another study from the University of Vermont found that older adults with adequate magnesium levels had a 30% stronger grip, better balance, and noticeably improved mobility. The recommended intake? Between 200 and 400 million per day, ideally split into 2 doses after meals for better absorption. The most recommended forms are magnesium glycinate or threonate, since they're easier on digestion and absorb better. Of course, for anyone with kidney issues, magnesium supplementation should be supervised by a doctor. You'll find magnesium in dark leafy greens like spinach and collards, pumpkin seeds, soybeans, and even a bit of dark chocolate. The second nutrient Dr. Rebecca emphasized was vitamin B12. She explained that nearly everyone over 65 is running low on B12. And it's not because they don't eat enough. It's because after age 50, the stomach starts producing less acid, which is essential for absorbing B12 from food. The result? Fatigue, muscle weakness, and in some cases, memory issues that are mistaken for early dementia. Harvard Medical School has confirmed it. Supplementing with vitamin B12, especially in the form of methylcobalamin, can significantly improve memory, focus, and even mood in older adults. The usual dose? Anywhere from 500 to 1 billion micrograms a day. Here's something most people miss. Sublingual B12, the kind you let dissolve under your tongue, is absorbed much better than ordinary tablets. And while foods like eggs, liver, salmon, and milk are natural sources of B12, they may not be enough if your body isn't absorbing it properly. If you're taking acid-reducing medications like omeprazole or diabetes drugs like metformin, your B12 levels could be dropping faster than you realize. It's a good idea to get checked regularly. Now, when people hear the word creatine, they often think of bodybuilders and gym supplements. But here's a fact few older adults know. Creatine is actually incredibly important for seniors' health. A 2015 study from McMaster University in Canada found that people over 65 who took 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily, along with light physical activity, gained muscle mass, increased strength, and even improved memory. Why? Because creatine is stored energy in your muscles and in your brain. As we age, our natural levels decline. That's why even small tasks can leave us feeling drained. The best form, pure creatine monohydrate. It's safe, affordable, and easy to find. Take it in the morning or after light exercise. Just make sure you drink plenty of water, about 1.5 to 2 liters a day, to help your kidneys and reduce water retention. And of course, if you have any history of kidney problems, talk to a doctor first. Besides magnesium, B12, and creatine, there's another group of unsung heroes: zinc, selenium, and chromium. These trace minerals may be small, but they play a big role in preserving muscle, balancing blood sugar, and helping your body use nutrients efficiently. Especially important if you're pre-diabetic or feel tired after meals. A 5-year study from Tufts University revealed that seniors who maintain good levels of these 3 minerals preserve 22% more muscle mass compared to those who are deficient. You can get them from natural sources like cashews, seafood, especially oysters and fish, along with eggs and whole grains. But if you're unsure whether you're getting enough, the best thing to do is get a micronutrient test before choosing a supplement. Now, maybe you're someone who feels uneasy about supplements. You might say, I don't want to take more pills, but here's the thing. These aren't drugs. They're nutrients your body used to get naturally when you were younger, when your digestion was stronger. Taking them now, it's not about adding chemicals. It's about giving your body a gentle helping hand, a quiet boost, so you can feel like yourself again. Mr. David gave it a try. He didn't change much. He just started taking magnesium and B12 the right way, slept a bit more, took short walks in the evening. And just a few weeks later, he said, I can stand up without pushing off with my hands. I don't need to pause halfway up the stairs anymore. Protein builds the house. But these micronutrients, they're the nails, the glue, the structure that holds it all together. You don't need a medicine cabinet full of supplements. Just know what your body's missing and choose to support it clearly, safely, and wisely. If there's one action to take after watching this video, let it be this. At your next checkup, ask your doctor about a micronutrient test, because sometimes a small change can make a huge difference in your later years. Habit number 3, hormetic stress. Befriending small challenges to grow stronger. Here's something that sounds strange at first, but scientists say it's one of the keys to aging well, especially when it comes to keeping your muscles strong. The idea: controlled, gentle stress. Now, don't worry. We're not talking about mental stress. This is about short physical challenges that push the body just enough to trigger a recovery response. It's a scientific concept called hormesis. Think of it like this. If you always stay in your comfort zone, your body forgets how to adapt. It slows down. But if you give it just a little nudge, like sharpening a blade or reminding a muscle how to move, your body wakes up. It learns to bounce back, and it gets stronger. The best part? These good stresses don't have to be intense, long, or complicated. They just have to be short, gentle, and done the right way. One of the most powerful examples of good stress comes from something as simple as temperature changes. At the Buck Institute for Research on Aging, scientists discovered that ending a warm shower with just 30 to 60 seconds of cold water or spending about 10 minutes in a sauna can activate special proteins in the body called heat shock proteins. These proteins act like tiny rescuers, protecting your muscle cells from damage, speeding up recovery, and even slowing down age-related decline. It sounds simple, but the results are profound. A long-term study in Finland followed people who regularly used saunas over a 10-year period. The findings? They had 40% less muscle loss compared to those who didn't. And it didn't take much, just 2 to 3 sessions a week. Now, not everyone has access to a sauna, but even ending your warm shower with 30 seconds of cool water can help. It doesn't have to be ice cold, just enough to give your skin a little shiver. That's your body waking up. Another form of beneficial stress, time-restricted eating, or what scientists call intermittent fasting. Now, don't worry. This doesn't mean starving or skipping meals. For older adults, it can be as gentle as eating within an 8 to 10 hour window each day. For example, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., with a light fast during the evening. This method, researched by the Salk Institute, a leader in longevity studies, has been shown to boost mitochondrial function, clean up damaged cells, and make the body more resilient and efficient. If you're thinking, I could never skip meals, that's okay. Start slow. Maybe begin with a 12-hour eating window, then gradually reduce to 10 hours. Your body will adjust, gently. There's another powerful tool, isometric training, or static muscle exercises. No jumping, no running. You simply push against a wall, hold a resistance band, or sit in an invisible chair. Wall sits for 5 to 10 seconds. It might sound easy, but these moves deeply engage your muscle fibers. It sends a message to your body. Hold on to this muscle. We still need it. The best part? It's gentle on your joints, no equipment needed, and it works for any age. All of these habits share one powerful principle: trigger your body's natural healing through small, controlled challenges. Done the right way, with proper rest. These habits switch on longevity genes like FOXO and sirtuins, the same ones that help preserve health and strength in older age. If you're wondering where to begin, here's a gentle roadmap. Week 1. At the end of your shower, finish with 15 to 20 seconds of cool water. Not freezing, just cool enough to feel a slight shiver. Once you're used to it, work up to 30 seconds. Week 2. Try eating only between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. with all your meals within that window. No cutting calories, just adjusting timing. Week 3. Each morning or evening, try a simple wall push for 10 seconds. Do it 3 times with a 30-second rest in between. You don't have to do everything at once. Pick one small action. Stick with it. It's consistency, not intensity, that brings results. One thing I know for sure, as we age, recovery becomes essential. And ironically, sometimes the best way to recover is to challenge yourself a little. Like a bamboo tree. If it never faces the wind, it becomes fragile. But if the breeze comes just enough, it learns to bend, not break. And it stands taller through the years. Habit number 4. Protecting the neuromuscular connection. You've probably felt it before. You stand up, wanting to walk forward, but your feet hesitate. You reach for a glass, but your fingers feel stiff, slower than usual. And then you think, maybe this is just what aging feels like. But here's something many people don't realize, even those who exercise regularly. Your body doesn't weaken just because your muscles shrink. It's also because your brain starts losing its connection to those muscles. Think of your muscles like a light bulb. Your brain is the switch. If the wiring between them is loose, the light can't shine. No matter how new the bulb is, it's the same with our bodies. That wiring, what doctors call the neuromuscular connection, is what allows you to walk steadily, stand up smoothly, and react quickly if you trip or stumble. According to Dr. Scott Powers, a gerontology expert at the University of Florida, this is one of the first things to weaken as we age. Not your muscles, not your bones, but the signals from your brain to your body. After age 60, these signal pathways begin to fray, like a radio station losing its signal. And once those signals break up, our reflexes start to slow. Movements feel clumsier, less certain. But here's the best part. These connections aren't gone forever. They can be preserved and even rebuilt if you know how to gently wake them up day by day. I remember speaking with a woman in Santa Barbara. She told me that every morning she stood up and practiced deep breathing. As she inhaled, she imagined she was lighting up her body from the inside. After just 3 weeks, she no longer felt shaky pouring water. She stepped off curbs with confidence. What was she doing? Something incredibly simple. Reconnecting her brain and body through steady rhythmic breathing. Just 5 minutes a day. That's all it took. Using a technique called box breathing, researched in Sweden. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. Hold for another 4. This gently stimulates the vagus nerve, which plays a major role in coordinating your brain and muscle functions. And the results? Calmer nerves, sharper reflexes, a real noticeable sense of control returning to her movements. But it's not just about breathing. A separate study from Columbia University found something fascinating. Older adults who engage in coordination-based activities like Tai Chi, slow dancing, even playing chess or table tennis, preserved their neuromuscular connection 31% better than those who only walked or used gym machines. Why? Because when you move while thinking, like remembering a dance step, coordinating your arm and leg in ping pong, or flipping cards in a memory game, your brain is forced to call up the parts that control movement. That keeps the wiring alive. And that's how you don't just keep your muscle, you keep control over it. If you're wondering where to start, here's a gentle idea. Start with what brings you joy. Maybe it's twisting a towel in the morning, swaying to a soft song, playing a puzzle game with your grandchild, or learning a few beginner Tai Chi moves on YouTube. You don't need to master anything. Just keep that feeling alive. I'm connecting with my body again. That's the beginning. And if possible, consider adding a few nutrients that support brain-to-muscle communication. For example, alpha-lipoic acid, a powerful antioxidant that protects nerve health. Experts recommend 300 to 600 milligallons per day after breakfast. Acetyl L-carnitine helps nerves transmit signals more efficiently. 500, 1,000 milligrams per day is usually enough. If you're already taking B vitamins, look for activated B1. called benfotiamine because it helps your brain produce acetylcholine, the chemical messenger that tells your muscles when to move. And some studies show that huperzine A, a natural extract from club moss, can help that acetylcholine stick around longer, which may sharpen reflexes and reaction time in older adults. Of course, if you're taking medication for neurological conditions like Parkinson's, epilepsy, or brain injury recovery, always consult your doctor before adding any supplements. Every body is a unique melody, and we all need to find the right notes in the right rhythm. But the most important thing I can tell you is this: it's never too late. Some people learn hand choreography at age 82. Some practice breathing techniques while recovering in a hospital bed. And some, like the woman in Santa Barbara, simply begin by standing up and breathing deeply each morning, and soon find their legs steadier, their hands no longer trembling as they hold a warm teacup. Your muscles aren't weak, they're just waiting for a signal from your brain. And you, with every breath, every movement, and every quiet smile, you are the one who sends that signal back. Habit number 5, managing chronic inflammation. There's something most people don't notice. Some folks eat well, exercise regularly, avoid alcohol and cigarettes, and yet their health seems to slowly decline. Muscles shrink, joints feel loose, walking becomes tiring. They're more prone to falls, to aches, to little nagging pains. And when they go to the doctor, no major diagnosis. Just one silent culprit that's often overlooked: chronic inflammation. Most of us think of inflammation as swelling, redness, or pain, but chronic inflammation is different. It doesn't hit all at once. It lingers quietly, like a slow burning fire. And when your body lives in that constant state of low-grade inflammation, your muscles start breaking down faster than you can rebuild them. Even if you're eating enough protein, even if you're exercising regularly, that inflammation can undo all your efforts. Dr. Samin Medani, former director of the Nutrition and Aging Lab at Tufts University, once said at a medical conference, "Older adults with high inflammation markers lose muscle mass 3 times faster than those with low inflammation, regardless of how much they eat or move." Scary, isn't it? But here's the good news. Chronic inflammation is not your fate. It can be managed, even reversed, with small, consistent changes. Let me tell you the story of Mr. Harrell, 78 years old, living alone in Seattle. A cheerful man, always quick to smile. But last year, something shifted. He found himself getting tired faster than usual. 10 minutes into gardening, he'd need to sit down and rest. A full checkup revealed no clear issues until his blood test showed something. His HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, was at 5.5. For reference, healthy levels should be under 1.0. His doctor explained that his body was battling silent inflammation and recommended changes in 4 key areas: sleep, digestion, movement, and diet. First, sleep. Mr. Harrell started going to bed a little earlier, turning off all lights and electronics by 9 p.m. Within 2 weeks, he was sleeping more deeply and waking up without that heavy, achy feeling in the morning. A Harvard study showed that just 3 nights of poor sleep can increase inflammatory markers in the blood by up to 40%. Sleep might seem basic, but it's one of the most powerful free medicines we have. Second, digestion. He changed his meals. Instead of focusing on meat, he added over 30 types of vegetables and fruits each week. A little spinach here, some carrots there, constantly rotating. He also started eating unsweetened yogurt, kefir, and fermented vegetables. Sounds unusual? Maybe. But these foods help restore the good bacteria in your gut, which in turn reduces internal inflammation. Scientists at UC Davis have confirmed it. An imbalanced gut microbiome is one of the top causes of chronic inflammation in older adults. Third, movement. Mr. Harold used to push himself too hard, cycling long miles and practicing intense qigong, but he didn't feel great afterward. Now, he walks 20 minutes a day, and once or twice a week, he does slightly more active sessions. The lesson? More isn't always better. If you feel sore, fatigued, or can't sleep after a workout, your body might be telling you it's too much. The National Institute on Aging recommends moderate movement with proper rest days over high-intensity routines. Fourth, anti-inflammatory foods. Mr. Harrell added salmon twice a week, used extra virgin olive oil, and started cooking with turmeric and black pepper. Sometimes he took an omega-3 supplement, about 1,000 to 2,000 ElderlyWisdom a day. His doctor also mentioned curcumin, from turmeric, but only the kind with piperine to help with absorption. The safe dose for people over 65? Usually 500 to 1,000 milliliters daily, but not for those on blood thinners or with stomach ulcers. 3 months later, Mr. S. Harold went back for a checkup. His inflammation markers had dropped to 1.2, just shy of optimal. But what mattered more? He smiled at me and said, "I don't feel weighed down anymore. I can work longer without getting drained, and I feel lighter, calmer." You see, inflammation isn't just about medication. It's about how we live each day. A good night's sleep, a plate full of nature's colors, a spoonful of yogurt at just the right moment, a deep breath on a quiet afternoon. These small choices, they are how we protect our bodies from being worn down from the inside out. And if you've never had an inflammation test, at your next health checkup, ask your doctor about HSCRP. It's a simple blood test, but it can tell you something powerful. Is your body silently thriving or silently breaking down? Habit number 6, optimizing protein timing. Here's something not many people know. Eating enough protein isn't enough. For older adults, when you eat, your protein is just as important as how much you eat. When we're younger, our bodies absorb and use protein efficiently, but as we age, that system slows down. Scientists call it anabolic resistance. Sounds complicated, but here's what it means. As we get older, our muscles become less responsive to protein. If we don't eat it at the right times, our bodies may not use it to build muscle, and instead, it gets processed and wasted in other ways. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that many older adults eat very little protein in the morning and at lunch, then load up at dinner. But that pattern actually deprives the body of protein all day, leaving muscles undernourished. So even if you're eating plenty of protein overall, your muscles may still be shrinking, quietly, steadily. But here's the exciting part. You don't have to eat more protein, just change when you eat it. In a study from the University of Texas, older adults were asked to divide their daily protein into 3 equal portions, about 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal. After just 12 weeks, they gained an average of 1.2 pounds of muscle, without changing anything else in their lifestyle. So what might that look like? Instead of starting your day with just a slice of toast and weak coffee, try 2 hard-boiled eggs, some Greek yogurt, or a banana smoothie with plant-based protein powder and unsweetened almond milk. Lunch? Maybe some grilled fish, a bowl of lentils, or a few slices of chicken breast. Dinner stays the same. No need to make up for missed protein earlier in the day. Think of your body like a construction site. If you deliver all the building materials at the end of the day, the workers can't use it effectively. But if you deliver supplies steadily throughout the day, your body has the time to rebuild, repair, and grow stronger. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. I've heard too much protein is bad for your kidneys. And that's true, if you have existing kidney disease that hasn't been checked. But for healthy older adults with normal kidney function, eating around 1.0 to 1. 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, evenly spaced throughout the day, is not only safe, it's one of the best ways to preserve muscle, reduce fall risk, and prevent frailty. Of course, if you have kidney problems, diabetes, or metabolic issues, talk to your doctor first. But for most healthy older adults, this is one of the simplest, most effective changes you can make. I once met a woman in California, nearly 70, living on her own. She told me she usually had just a small bowl of porridge for breakfast, thinking it would be easier to digest. But after being advised to add some boiled eggs, unsweetened yogurt, or a few bites of steamed soybeans in the morning, she began to feel more alert. Her legs didn't ache as much when walking, and she slept more soundly at night. She smiled and said, "I never imagined one small change could make such a big difference." That's what I want to share with you today. Eat your protein at the right time. Spread it out. It doesn't have to be fancy or expensive, just simple, thoughtful, and timed right for your body. Because at some point, a good life isn't just about medication. It's about how we nourish our bodies, steadily, gently, and at the right moments. You see, the things that help us stay strong and age gracefully aren't always the hardest ones. Sometimes it's choosing the right kind of challenge. A splash of cold water at the end of your shower, a little time-restricted eating, or the simple power of pushing gently against a wall. But alongside the things we should do, there are also things we do every day. Small habits that seem harmless, but quietly wear us down, little by little. Not because we're getting old, not because of bad genes, but because of repeated routines done in silence day after day, with no one ever warning us. And this This is where things get truly eye-opening. We're talking about a silent mistake, a quiet habit that more than 90% of older adults fall into without even realizing it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make a sound. It doesn't raise red flags. But day by day, it can erase the benefits of everything you've been doing right. Have you ever wondered why? Even though you're eating well, taking your daily walks, and doing everything right, your muscles still don't feel as strong as they used to? Maybe you're finding it harder to get up from a chair, or you notice your legs tire out quicker on the stairs. That very question came up in a conversation I had recently with Mr. Harold, a 74-year-old gentleman living in San Jose. He told me, I go for a walk every day, eat my salmon, drink milk, try to stay active. But lately, I've had to push myself up with my arms just to get out of the recliner. And stairs, I'm out of breath halfway up. It doesn't make sense. What am I doing wrong? What Harold didn't know, and what most folks don't either, is that over 90% of older adults unknowingly make a simple mistake each day that quietly chips away at muscle strength. Not because of genetics or illness or even age itself, but because of one very common habit that hides in plain sight. According to recent research from the Center for Aging at McMaster University in Canada, the biggest silent muscle killer is how much time we spend sitting. And not just when we're watching TV. It's the sitting we don't even notice. After meals, while reading, scrolling through the news, chatting on the phone, even resting after a workout. Stuart Phillips, a leading expert in muscle aging at McMaster, explains it like this. Older adults have a reduced ability to recover and regenerate muscle. When they remain seated for long periods, say 60 to 90 minutes, without moving, key genes responsible for maintaining muscle basically shut off. It's like flipping a switch to pause muscle growth. In simpler terms, you could have a great 30-minute walk in the morning, but if you spend the next 4 hours sitting still, you've likely canceled out much of that benefit. Our bodies, especially as we age, thrive on frequent, gentle movement, not just intense workouts. When we sit too long, whether it's in a comfy recliner, at the kitchen table, or on the porch swing, our circulation slows down. Protein synthesis decreases, and muscles stop receiving the signals they need to stay active and healthy. So what can we do? You don't need to be on your feet all day, but every 30 to 45 minutes, just get up. Walk a little, stretch your arms overhead, roll your shoulders, wiggle your toes, tap your feet. Even small movements, the kind that might seem like nothing, are enough to wake up your muscles again. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that breaking up long periods of sitting with just a few minutes of light movement can reduce age-related muscle loss by up to 39%. After learning this, Harold set a gentle timer every 40 minutes. When it rang, he'd get up, take a sip of water, look out the window, or rub his hands and feet for a bit. A month later, he called me and said, "You know what's funny? I feel more solid, not as achy. I didn't expect that from just standing up more." Now, I'm not going to promise that a few minutes of movement will make you feel like you're 40 again, but I can tell you this. If you sit still for hours on end, it will quietly undo much of the good you're trying to do for your body. That's why many health experts refer to this as the silent saboteur, because it doesn't hurt, it doesn't seem wrong, and yet it slowly steals strength from your muscles each day. So tomorrow, if you find yourself settling into your favorite chair for a long while, reading, watching YouTube, or sipping coffee, just remember, getting up for even a moment makes a difference. That one small act could be the key to staying mobile, independent, and strong well into your 80s and beyond. And if you know someone else who's starting to slow down, a spouse, a friend, maybe a neighbor, this is something worth sharing. Because weakness doesn't just come from doing nothing. Sometimes it comes from doing what feels normal but isn't quite right anymore. So we've just walked through 7 simple yet powerful habits. The very habits that researchers call the secrets of people in their 80s who still feel like they're in their fat shorties. Do you remember them? It's a bit of daily movement that gently reminds your body, I'm still here and I'm still strong. Eating protein at the right times, so your body can actually use it to build and protect muscle. Creating good stress, like a splash of cold water, a little sunlight, or a stretch that's just a bit more challenging than yesterday. Getting restful sleep. Nurturing your digestion and feeding your gut with fiber and friendly microbes. Taking deep, intentional breaths, the kind that soothe your nervous system and keep your brain connected to every step, every lift, every move. Supplying your body with the tiny nutrients that may seem small, but without them, strength quietly slips away. And finally, breaking the habit of sitting still for too long, reminding your muscles that they still have work to do. 7 habits. None of them ask you to change your whole life overnight. Just pick one. Anyone that feels doable, and start today, gently, consistently, patiently. Because the most beautiful thing about strength isn't how much weight you can lift. It's the ability to stand up on your own, walk with confidence, and live each day with purpose. And if there's one thing you can do right now, choose one of those 7 habits. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it, on the fridge, the mirror, or next to your alarm clock. Let it be a daily reminder. I'm still showing up for myself. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of the 7 habits surprised you the most? Have you already tried one of them? Or maybe you know someone older, who inspires you with their strength and vitality. Share your story in the comments. You never know. Your words could be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next one. We've still got more stories to tell, more lessons to learn, and more ways to live healthier, stronger, and freer together. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Taking care of yourself is one of the best gifts you can give, not just to yourself, but to the people who love you most.